So just kind of sliding away from that topic and toward a new one. In the summer of 2014, you had some experiences that were really life-changing for you.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us about those? And maybe what happened that spring right before all that?
Yeah, so 2014, that was the year that my dad passed. We had lived up there, and then we moved away when I quit the job. And the next February, my dad passed away, and yeah, it was really challenging, as it is when we lose a loved one, and so when the opportunity came for me to sit in an ayahuasca ceremony that summer, I had had a friend or two that had sat with that medicine before and said to me how if I ever got a chance that I should do it. So yeah, I mean, I did my best to kind of navigate the grief and
It was kind of like a 6-month window, right? Between
Yeah.
when your dad passed away and when this opportunity arose.
yeah, and so I actually got some really good advice from my mom, who sat in ayahuasca ceremonies herself, and she said to me, get a piece of paper and write down your intentions for what you hope to get out of this ceremony. So I did that, and I wrote a lot of really meaningful things down that I wanted to either get closure with or have a better understanding. And so I went and sat in that first ceremony that summer, and that was really when things took off for me, kind of spiritually and emotionally, and just being kind of more wide open with who I really was and what I'm here to share with the world. I was able to really let go of a lot of grief and trauma that I had been hanging on to, from the first 30 years of my life. And it was kind of a reset for my whole perspective, my whole perception of life and what is and what was. And yeah, I was able to kind of just take off 30 years of trauma and step out on the other side and say, okay, well, now what? So that was really when to me it became clear that I didn't need to smoke pot anymore. When it became really evident that it was just a way of me coping with undealt with emotions that I was not willing to deal with. And once I was able to process that in a better way, then there was really no attraction to smoking it. I mean, it was actually also really interesting too to notice that when I have smoked it in the past 3 years, I guess, to look at that joint or that medicine and have a different view of it, that you're using it with an intention, that you're not just smoking it to have a good time, that if I am going to ingest something that's mind altering or consciousness expanding, that I really want to do it with intention
And respect
for the plant and the people who grew it and the earth, and that connection to me is really what kind of makes a difference. Like, I've had some really amazing experiences with pot in the past few years when I honor it in that way and really respect that ability that it has to give us, to shift our perception, which can be a really good thing, even to just to have a small shift in perception for an hour or two can really help us to see the world in a better way and to move through experiences in life in a more healthy manner. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So So you kind of went on to do a handful of those plant medicine ceremonies that year, and then the two of us got in our elderly Volkswagen, and we drove here. Actually, we're back in one of the exact same places that we were about 2.5 years ago, and that is in Chiapas, Mexico. That's where we are right now.
Yeah.
And but we didn't stop here the last time. We kept going across the border to Lake Atitlan in Guatemala. And maybe you can talk about our experience there in a nutshell.
Yeah, so we really kind of got inspired by using cacao by my mom when she came back in 2014 that summer.
Maybe you can just say what it is really quick for anyone who doesn't know.
Yeah, so cacao is, we should have brought the pod out here. Cacao is a beautiful tree that grows pods, and the beans that are inside the pods are fermented and dried, and that's what chocolate's made out of. So my mom brought back some of this medicine, this beautiful Guatemalan cacao that she had acquired from her travels, and shared it with us. And you know, that was really a part of that summer too, the magic that happened with those ayahuasca ceremonies, and really just getting more connected with myself, even more so. The cacao really has a way of allowing us to turn our awareness inward and to see ourselves in a more loving way, and to process life and our experience in a really loving way. It kind of holds us in a loving space so we can do that work. And yeah, I really just loved sitting in her ceremonies when she came back, and then started to use that cacao with quite a bit of intention. And then when we got this invitation to come down to Mexico and then to Guatemala, yeah, we got to sit in some cacao ceremonies down there that were just incredible. To see the transformation that happened in the people that showed up on Keith's porch at Lago de Atitlan in Guatemala. It was inspiring, and it was moving, I think, for both of us. Mm-hmm. And we really started to dive into just seeing what was possible with cacao as a plant medicine for journeying, for doing emotional healing and inner work on ourselves in that 2-month period that we spent down there, just really going for it. And
maybe speak up just a little. There's a little bit of background noise that happens in Mexico.
And so, you know, we found ourselves probably after a few weeks of sitting in Keith's ceremonies and doing our own work at home. We use the term home loosely.
Where is home?
Because home is kind of wherever we're at. So we kind of came to the conclusion that this medicine was so special and so gentle that we just felt so compelled to share it with the people who we crossed paths with. So we loaded 150 pounds in the back of the Jetta, and we left the lake. It was hard to drive away from there. It's a very magical place. But that really kind of was another moment of truth, maybe, where
we asked ourselves, are we crazy or are we just really inspired right now?
Yeah, and sometimes it's a very fine line, but for the last 3 years now, we've been sharing cacao ceremonies, and that experience for me has really kept my motivation and inspiration levels really high. Seeing the joy and transformation in the people who have sat with us has just re-inspired me over and over again so many times. And you know, I mean, we've said so many times that you really can't predict where life is going to take you. And for me, you know, with having my mom as a guide and someone who's really inspired both of us, and someone who's really in touch with their own spirituality has really helped me to step into the role of facilitating and just really going with it, because when we're open to it and these plants kind of find us, or we find them, or we think we find them,
however that works, kind of.
We've just kind of been on this amazing journey with cacao and sharing this beautiful medicine with groups and with our friends, and now we're back here. We're in San Cristobal again, and we're really excited to be going to sit in cacao ceremony tonight with a friend of ours who's a Guatemalan indigenous man who's brought us 60 pounds of cacao from the lake.
It's been a year and a half since we've been able to receive that cacao, because the Guatemalan postal system basically just kind of dissolved, and many cacao lovers around the planet have been just sitting on the edges of their chairs waiting for the day that the system reopens so that the Guatemalan chocolate magic is available. But we decided we better take matters into our own hands, into our own vehicle, and so we've driven as far as the Mexico-Guatemala border.
Yeah.
And our friend is crossing today. We'll be sitting in his ceremony, and we'll be receiving a brand new installment of the cacao medicine, which we'll be sharing. That's a good lead-in.
Yeah.
What are you up to next, Tanner?
Yeah, so we have been given an opportunity to kind of manage and oversee a beautiful retreat center in Puerto Escondido, Oaxaca, kind of southern Mexico here, from January 15th to April 15th. And so we're really excited to have this cacao so that we can share it with the people who show up for these retreats. So we will be heading back to Puerto Escondido from San Cristobal on December 1st. And we'll be spending 6 weeks just getting kind of situated in the community, and we're going to be teaching yoga. They have a beautiful rooftop palapa that we're going to start teaching morning yoga at, and I think we're going to aim to facilitate at least one cacao ceremony every night or every week.
Every night.
Every night.
I know what you're thinking.
Just easing you into it. So we really like to be able to offer that to the community. So it was kind of, not imperative, because, people say, well, you could get cacao anywhere. Well, sure, you could, but to get cacao that's grown in the rainforest by people who understand why it's being used, why it's important to be used, the difference between a chocolate bar and what we offer, medicinally and ceremonially, is just really important to us. So, so we have 3 Spirit of Cacao retreats that we'll be offering. One's in January, the 21st of January to the 28th, and then February 25th to March 4th, and then one in April, the 1st of April to the 8th of April.
It's like Easter week, kind of.
And so those will be 3 weeks where we're inviting our friends and community and people who love cacao to join us and to sit in ceremony with us. 3 ceremonies.
Maybe more, since Tanner wants to do one every night.
Yeah. Throughout the week, and to really allow integration time for people to just really sit with what they get out of these ceremonies. We come together for a few hours, and we sit in this ceremony, and
which is amazing.
Yeah, it's a great time to take out even an hour out of your week or your day to sit and contemplate yourself, and to maybe do some meditation or inner just reflection. It's so huge.
It is, and I just wanted to say that in a lot of our ceremonies in Canada and elsewhere, people have said, is it time to leave already? I don't want to go, I want to stay. This feels just like what I needed, and I just want it to never end. And so, there's a few dynamics there. That's up to each one of us to carry on this feeling, but now that we have this opportunity of 13 weeks at this small, beautiful retreat center near the ocean, we were like, wow, this is such a perfect opportunity to create a few opportunities for people to come for a 1-week immersion with, we're calling it Spirit of Cacao, and it's foundational around the cacao ceremonies, but there's so much more that we'll explore and enjoy together. We'll be creating beautiful plant-based meals. We'll be coming together each night for some sort of workshop or conversational circle or practice of some sort. Every morning we're intending to teach you yoga because we both just completed our 200-hour yoga teacher certification programs this summer. So that was another huge step for Tanner. Maybe you can just talk about that real briefly, and then I feel like this video is getting really long.
Yeah, it is. Well, just about the yoga
Just
teacher
about
training.
your experience with yoga in the last few years.
Yeah, well, I was always a really athletic person, and I always loved to stretch. And I mean, even from the days in high school, you know, out on the football field, you know, out leading stretches or, you know, stretching, warming up with the team. And so to then be exposed in 2014, I guess it was that same summer when our friend invited us to come and do some yoga classes. And I remember saying to her, "Oh yeah, I don't know about this yoga thing." And she's like, "Well, you've been doing yoga since the day you were born." And I was like, "What? Okay." So I've really come to understand what she meant by that, because there's so many different aspects to yoga. There's the physical stretching aspect. There's the you know, the breath training aspect of it that's really become so important to both of us, to just be more aware of our breath and how we're breathing, and are we breathing through our nose or through our mouth or both, or and then the meditation aspect is something that I've really been embracing. And you know, I never really, I guess, maybe thought that I would, but yeah, I've been exposed to meditation at various points through my life, and the institute, the Himalayan Institute, where we went and did our teacher training, they really emphasize that time to sit and meditate after your practice, and that is where we can truly turn our focus inward and become more, I guess, connected with the fact that we're a spirit inside this human body. And I guess, you know, that's something we can kind of fall back on, you know, throughout the day when someone cuts us off in traffic. I mean, my gosh, from being a professional driver, I can remember, you know, calling out all kinds of 4-letter words when someone cut me off in traffic or something, and then to just kind of have a deeper kind of sense of peace within yourself, where you know, things just don't bother you as much. They kind of just, you're able to accept things in a different way. So yeah, the yoga practice has really become an important part of my life, and an important part of what I really am excited to share, just because it's so diverse and so rich. And I mean,
It's kind of just all encompassing though, really, because one of the biggest parts of yoga that I think a lot of people completely miss is that it's everything you do. Everything you think, everything you do, everything you say, and how you show up in the world every single moment of your life. And so we're excited to share that with anyone who's interested. And I mean, we're still learning. We're just like babies in the school of yoga philosophy, but we all know a lot more than we think we do about yoga, especially if you're already tuned into kind of a spiritual awareness of yourself and of life. And
yeah, and really the practice of yoga is just to bring more self-awareness, which, you know, we're all looking for on some level, whether we realize it or not. You know, I feel like is maybe not so clear, but it's a really great tool for just understanding ourselves more deeply, and how our mind works and why it works a certain way, and to be able to influence that through meditation or through contemplation, or just becoming aware of it is huge in itself. So
I just want to touch on something that's related to this, because in our yoga training, it seemed like there was a bit of a, well, how do I say this? what Tanner just described and the purpose of yoga practice and the hatha practice and the meditation is to go within and get to know yourself, your true essence, to be able to tune into that inner teacher that we all have. And all of our inner teachers are all connected. They're all part of the same teacher collective, and all one, really, when you get down to it. But something that seemed really evident was that there was a bit of an aversion to using plants as a medicine, as a spiritual inspiration or guidance tool. And I totally understand that, because I can personally attest to witnessing people using them too much, to the point where they become totally reliant on that plant, whether it's marijuana or magic mushrooms or alcohol, to get to that place of this sense of inner peace or expanded consciousness. And it's a slippery slope when people start to become reliant on these tools, or cacao. I mean, if someone is like, I can't get up and start my day without cacao, or coffee, it's a slippery slope. Coffee doesn't usually take people to a place where they suddenly see the world in a whole new light, but if it does, good. It's good.
Some good coffee. I want
That's some
some.
seriously good coffee right there. But my point is, I would say from my perspective of Tanner, without these plant medicine ceremonies and those eye-opening, like mind-blowing, consciousness-expanding experiences, I don't know that he would have ever turned to yoga as a practice or have even been slightly interested in that. And so to that, I just want to say that plant medicines, for both of us and for many people we know, have been a tool to bridge kind of our old reality and our old patterns and emotional traumas, and the new way of living and a new reality. Mm-hmm. Would you agree with that, or do you want to add anything to that? And then we're really going to end this video, because we could just talk forever if you didn't notice.
Yeah, I think it's true. We live in a certain way, and we get used to seeing the world in a certain way, and it's really hard to step back from that perception of the world that we all have and analyze it with any objectivity. Mm-hmm. So to have these plant medicines, I mean, I never really even touched on my use of magic mushrooms, which is not extremely extensive, but they were definitely an important part of the path too. Just having some experiences that opened me up to, like, wow, there's more to this that's possible. You've got more to offer than just being a truck driver. So definitely the ceremonial use and the respect and honoring of the plants, using them with intention, definitely has allowed me to analyze every aspect of how I got to where I was, and decide, do I want to keep filtering the world with all these filters that aren't really necessarily even mine, and they're not really doing me any good? They're just kind of inhibiting more love from entering and more light from shining through. So I think that's really important, and for people to seek out people who are experienced, who have experience in using plant medicines, to sit with them and to talk with them and be advised by them to whether a medicine might be right or wrong for them. It just takes a little bit of exploration and guidance under the right supervision is extremely important too. So
absolutely. And the last thing I'd like to say is that to me personally, the use of plant medicines has been one of the most integral parts of me getting to where I am in this moment, and I feel really good about that. And I think it's really important for me to say that I feel that eventually the need for outside influence in taking in any substance to get us to wherever we think we need to go, eventually the need for that will become less and less over time. And eventually, if we can just feel really good about being with ourselves, inside of ourselves, and relating to the outside world, because we all have an inner reality and an outer reality. And when we can bring those closer and closer to feeling the same through yoga and meditation, or through whatever tools, you discover that work for you, ideally, if we can just do that for ourselves.
I think that's the goal. That's kind of the, I don't know about the pinnacle, because there's always
Maybe there's something more.
It always continues to grow and expand, but to me, I would agree with that. I would agree that the use of pot and mushrooms and ayahuasca and certain things, and then experimenting after, and it all kind of led me to experiencing myself in a more untainted capacity, to where now I really just want to sit and meditate in the mornings and in the evenings, and that's my time.
It's your medicine.
That's my divine time to sit with my own medicine and just really cultivate that, which is already within me. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting evolution, I guess you could call it. But
And it reminded me of a quote from one of my favorite musicians, Nako Bear. He says, "Find your medicine and use it."
yes,
So I encourage everyone to continue to explore and find your personal medicine and share it with the world, because gosh, our world needs people who can share sweet medicine in whatever form that comes, through art, poetry, music, storytelling, writing, yoga,
yeah,
whatever. It could be anything. And we all have those gifts. So I hope that you enjoyed this chat with the two of us, and I know I did. We've been talking about doing this for a long time, so
yeah,
I'm glad we got to do it today. And
yeah.
if you are at all interested in learning more about these retreats that we'll be hosting, our website is oneworldwellness.info, and you can also find us on Facebook. And also our other side project is Cacao Connection. .info, or also you can find us Cacao Connection on Facebook. And yeah, we've obviously got this YouTube channel where we've got lots of good stuff and a lot more beautiful interviews and videos coming as time allows. So thank you for tuning in and watching this video.
Yeah, have a great day. All the best. We'll look forward to connecting again sometime soon.
Thanks.
Adios.